do we stand for? We stand for possibility, for the belief that every tomorrow begins with a choice made today. We stand for growth, for curiosity that pushes boundaries, for knowledge that prepares you not just to adapt, but to lead. We stand for community, for minds that don't just think, but connect, for hands that don't just build, but uplift. We stand for experiences that shape you, for friendships, a believer in dreams, a contributor to something greater than yourself. This is where purpose meets possibility. This is where futures are built. Chas Brookbasar University, where you stand for what matters.
Children stayed home, not because they didn't want to learn, but because school was unaffordable for many families. Today, things are much better. No more tuition fees, no more PTA fees, and no more examination fees. More than 2.5 million children are back in class across the country, from villages to towns, from the cities to the districts and provinces. Schools are feeding our children and classrooms are full again. And with the Enhanced Constituency Development Fund, communities around Zambia are transforming education. More classrooms are being built, more desks are being made, more teachers are being hired. Because Bali cares. He has delivered this for all children across Zambia. Because free education is not just a policy, it is a promise to every Zambian child, a promise that poverty will not decide their future. A promise delivered.
Hello and a warm welcome to News Flash on Prime TV2, the home of breaking news. We are coming to you live on Stop Star Channel 110 and streaming on our Facebook page, PTV2 Zambia. Now, let's take a quick look at stories making headlines. A 36-year-old woman of Mwilaba village in Kapiri Mponshi district of Central Province has been left homeless after her ex-husband allegedly set her house. Family left homeless after house collapses amid heavy rains in Mansa district. Governance activist Ruben Lifuka warns of Patriotic Front collapse due to continued leadership wrangles. With the news in detail, my name is Maidon Kilalo. A 36-year-old woman of Mwilaba village in Kapiri Mponshi district of Central Province has been left homeless after her ex-husband allegedly set her house on fire following the dissolution of their marriage. The victim, Agnes Mumba, told PTV2 News that she now lives in fear, claiming her former husband has continued to threaten her after she decided to end the marriage due to persistent disputes. Meanwhile, Miss Mumba's brother, Wonderful Bota, narrated that the suspect also attacked him and his family on Saturday night at his residence. Joseph Siambihi has the details.
Nangu kwenda so panopondi ine ndeti na nangu bana nimbale sho kwenda ko bali nbebe fati mule ikala munganda so life ifutaidi bontuli mu danger.
She is living in fear together with her children due to life-threatening actions by her ex-husband. This is Agnes Mumba of Mwilaba village in Kapiri Mponshi on Friday 27th of February 2026. Agnes Mumba's house was gutted, an allegation leveled against her ex-husband identified as Shadrick Zulu.
Pa Friday, kuma 21:20, ero nafuminepo. Twaile ku church twali kweta overnight. After twafika kule ku church, twali pa door zibasha. Funa ishire monako ku door ba Shadrick Zulu balengila. Ishi nabakulu bayishire baleshana filia balelishana eminsoli. Asha washere pa door ofu abekete mule akuyisa ndefo okuya kuntanshi mulekanya muno mchechi oke mwantamsha naya efye bafumini ba Shadrick Zulu wabali abalume bandine umwana wanzi ewakwete phone yandi ofo aishire isoponati ata mami phone ile lila balande fo kubatumina ofo baishire tumani ni bena muli kuisa imwe nata tuli ku chechi muli ku chechi awo bwereni endesheni nombalini bwereni ofo twaishire fika pano panga ndanalisangira abantu baleshimya omuliro nshina bakolonga nafya abengi ofo twaimine twana ku police ku centro twafika ku centro kulya twalembesha fyonse ofo twafuneko ku 03 ku central police.
And Wonderful Bota, brother to Agnes Mumba, briefly explained how he survived an attack on Saturday while seated with his wife and sister.
So, wamadamu wali pantanshap. Barepika. Na mfafe wamadamu wapundati, hey! So, para wapundati, ine, naringira panshap, pamataozi. So, bricks ya isa ponena na hapa. Puu! Kona habu tukiri ndise ndoreshe. Kuisa muna ni uyui ne wali muramu wanishadiri kizuru. Wa polisi tuwafueni. Biwazi tuwaristire report ilili ashipati. Tamuwaisa muku ititateni. Uyu muntu, arefu wa yoku tuipai. So, ngari njipa ya mairoine.
Currently, Agnes and her family have no peace until the suspect is caged. More to follow on the story. Joseph Siambehi reporting, Prime 2 News in Kabarimponshi.
A family in Kanyanta Township of Mansa District is living in fear of sleeping in the cold after their house partially collapsed following persistent heavy rains in the area. Mansa District has continued to experience heavy rainfall, which has damaged infrastructure in several communities and flooded crop fields, raising concern among residents. The affected homeowner, Barbara Mlenga, told PTV2 News that part of her house collapsed after a heavy downpour. She has described the situation as dangerous, warning that the remaining structure could give way if the rains persist. More in the following report.
Kanyanta community in Bahati constituency of Mansa district is among the areas severely affected by the ongoing heavy rains. One of the affected residents, Barbara Mlenga, explained that part of her house collapsed following the heavy downpour.
Mkaine narifuma pona ile mpanga ile nomba bana bainuko kufuma ku school so pali fyaka icheka grade 3 ero kaingire mwanda nishimfula na ise ikuru sana efu nombo mwana ishire mfafe chati mpu chapo nesa monekwe kuyaita abantu senu monenga ndande isana sanga fya menshiyeka eka mungande mfula na ichira monshibe no foto wala ikala so apa mone tubikira ko fya ma plastic kuti tuambie kula ikala ko bwino no mashibe fya obuteko bwinga tuchitirako nefoto wala sunga abana.
The persistent rains have also flooded crop fields, raising serious concerns among community members.
Amabala nayo naika na ebiliro na tute irewola nokubola. Imbalala amataba fyonse na fyonaika. Mensheka ikafye mumabala. Mkwayo uteko butuafweko twalila. Ishima na toilet na fisanka na menshi kansha marwele ya lapti tapapata twafweni mwe buteko. Twafuirisheni umulonga ule pitafye mumayanda.
Meanwhile, Florence Chongo expressed concern over the health risks facing the community. She says shallow wells and pit latrines have been submerged, creating fears that contaminated water sources could expose residents to waterborne diseases.
Na tukwata fyo buchushi bwa kwisurirwa amayanda amatoilets kumulandu nemfule irero ko mpamba kuno. Taturuwo kwa kulole fishima na amatoilets amenshi yaresanga na tureruwo kwa kunwa menshi. Amayanda yengina yawa kumulandu na menshi kumfule iro kere. Tuwapapa tanga kuti kuri febenga tuwafuako kuno kukalenga tuwaibirirwa tuwabundirwa nefya kuri efingi fye pareme mumushi na fye firi na menshi.
Residents are now calling for urgent intervention to prevent further damage and protect the well-being of the community. Pasco Mukabida, Prime TV News in Mansa, Luapula Province.
Governance activist Ruben Lufuka has expressed concern over the continued confusion rocking the former ruling party Front PF, warning that the party has been left crippled by prolonged leadership and succession wrangles. Mr. Lufuka attributes the turmoil within the PF to poor leadership decisions, arguing that the party should have convened a convention well before the late former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu stepped down from active politics. He says the failure to plan for succession early has gravely weakened the party. Favourite Chisi has filed in this report.
From commanding rallies and controlling State House to battling internal chaos, the Patriotic Front is facing one of the most turbulent chapters in its history. Once Zambia's political powerhouse, The Patriotic Front is now engulfed in factional fights, leadership disputes, and uncertainty ahead of the 2026 elections. Since its 2021 defeat, cracks within the party have widened, exposing deep divisions over succession and direction. Governance activist Ruben Lifuka says the Patriotic Front's crisis is self-inflicted and should worry every citizen who believes in a strong opposition.
The Patriotic Front, as members themselves, are to blame. They should have gone to this convention even before the former president passed away. They should have done the succession much earlier. They were talking about rebranding, but they haven't done that. Will the PF survive? One sees very little hope of them surviving. What may happen is a totally new party coming up. They don't have time to come up with a new entity and go to an election. So they may be talking about special purpose vehicles, as the case is now, either the use of NCP or use of FTD as a special purpose vehicle.
Historian Bizek Piri has called for humility and unity among Patriotic Front leaders, warning that ego-driven politics is pushing the party further into isolation.
There's just too much division, too much, quarreling, too much, arrogance. The individual leaders, there's just too much ego. This thinking that, I'm better than this one, I can do it better myself. It's very difficult. For example, when you talk about, now we hear so much of alliances. How can a divided party like PF be a member of an alliance? It means they'll just take confusion into that alliance.
Political analyst Neo Simtani describes the turmoil as a reflection of deeper structural weaknesses.
We do not expect a Patriotic Front party to actually do on the ballot in 2026 because Robert Chavinga is closer to the UPND than the other guys. That happened. It happened in Jawama and elsewhere. PF is likely to contest the elections on the ticket of another political party.
For a party that once shaped Zambia's national agenda, the question now is stark. Can the Patriotic Front reinvent itself, or will it become a political lesson on how quickly power can slip away when unity collapses? Favorite Chisi, Prime TV News, Lusaka.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security has announced it will recommend the revocation of work permits for Chinese supervisors at Zamfresh Company who allegedly manhandled and assaulted a female employee over suspected theft. The incident occurred on 1st March 2026 at Zamfresh Company, located along Mungwi Road in Lusaka West. Labour Commissioner Givens Montengwa says the government will not tolerate a culture in which employees are subjected to abuse by their employers. Meanwhile, Zambia Police Service Deputy Public Relations Officer Chipo Kaitisha has qualified that the 23-year-old woman, identified as Ruth Banda, allegedly collaborated with her supervisor, Charles Mwanza, to forge a company invoice and subsequently steal 14,000 kwacha in company funds.
Meaning that they are finished the revolt. Because we don't want you to create a narrative in the labor sector that what happened can happen and can be done to any employee. We are saying no, and we must send a strong signal. The strong signal is whoever does that must be kicked out of the country. We must get rid of bad elements in the labor sector. The labor sector is not for fights. Labor sector is for social dialogue. It's not for stone throwing, hanky-panky, no. It's for serious business. You see the way we have sat, talk about issues, resolve. If someone has stolen, you bring evidence. The disciplinary code, that's how you wanted it. It will show what follows. Whether it's a dismissal, that's a process. Whether someone runs away, there's an address.
That's what we usually do.
Yes, but the fact that you didn't do it,
It was a Sunday.
it became fatal.
Ruling United Party for National Development UPND members of parliament have described lawmakers who rejected Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 but are now demanding constituency delimitation as hypocritical and lacking political integrity. Gwembe Member of Parliament Tyson Simuzingili says it is surprising that some MPs who refused to support Bill 7 are now calling for delimitation of their constituencies, including those in large and underserved constituencies. Favorai Chisi has the details in the following report.
Zambia's political tensions remain high following the controversial Bill number 7 of 2025, which introduced major electoral reforms, including a new representation system and an increase in parliamentary seats. With the Electoral Commission of Zambia launching the delimitation exercise ahead of the 2026 general election, political debate has resurfaced. Some members of parliament who oppose the bill are now pushing for their constituencies to benefit from the process. However, a section of ruling party members of parliament have questioned that position. Gwembe Member of Parliament Tyson Simuzingiri says it is surprising that those who refuse to support the bill are now pushing to benefit from it.
As a member of UPND and in government, my take is that those that refuse must refuse also delimitation. We don't want hypocrites. In politics, there must be integrity. Integrity means that accept things that you know will be beneficial to the Zambian people. They felt that Bill 7 was not beneficial. Why should it be beneficial today? Because they want their constituencies delimited. We will not accept that. We will. In my view is that those that supported us, let's also support them.
Namwala Member of Parliament Mono Mapani questions what he calls shift in positions.
So speaking for myself, I want to take a position that those who didn't participate in bringing up or voting for Bill 7, as well they stay away until when the delimitation process, which they saved to defend, protect the Constitution, which is actually the clause which is there, you abrogated it. Because the Constitution say every member of Parliament shall participate or shall respect to defend, protect and promote our Constitution. But now, within the Constitution that you sought to save, there is a clause that after 10 years, the ECZ will perform their obligation in issues in line with the constituencies, and you stay away.
Katombola Member of Parliament Clement Ndeleki argues that despite political differences, the President has chosen inclusivity over retribution.
We are able to tolerate them. Like, you know, His Excellency President is a democratic leader. This government is a democracy. We are able to tolerate them. But ultimately, if it was not for democracy and not for the people of Zambia, those people are not even supposed to be given any delimitation. But His Excellency President, being a father, he has decided that everyone, including those that didn't vote for the bill, must have their constituency delimited for the benefit of the people.
Favourite Chisi, Prime TV News, Lusaka.
Well, that item ends the news flash on Prime TV2. Let's take a quick look at stories that made headlines. A 36-year-old woman of Mwilaba village in Kapiri, Mponshi district of Central Province has been left homeless after her ex-husband allegedly set her house. Family left homeless after house collapses amid heavy rains in Mansa. Governance activist Ruben Lifuka warns of Patriotic Front collapse due to continued leadership wrangles. Thank you so much for staying with us. But for these and other stories, like our Facebook page, that is PTV2 Zambia. On behalf of the entire news and production crew, this has been Maidon Kilalo. Stay tuned.
Before 2022, millions of Zambian children stayed home, not because they didn't want to learn, but because school was unaffordable for many families. Today, things are much better. No more tuition fees, no more PTA fees, and no more examination fees. More than 2.5 million children are back in classes across the country, from villages to towns, from the cities to the districts and provinces. Schools are feeding our children and classrooms are full again. And with the Enhanced Constituency Development Fund, communities around Zambia are transforming education. More classrooms are being built, more desks are being made, more teachers are being hired. Because Bali cares. He has delivered this for all children across Zambia. Because free education is not just a policy, it is a promise to every Zambian child, a promise that poverty will